The widowed Millionaire's twins refused to sleep until a poor black janitor did something that changed everything. 2 p.m. Monday. The marble staircase gleamed under the Dallas sun. Renee Carter, a 25-year-old black janitor, hugged her cleaning tray, climbing step by step when the sound of heartbreaking cries crashed down like hail. 2 baby girls, screaming hoarse, relentless. 3 weeks in this Highland Park mansion, she still hadn't gotten used to it. 3 hours straight today, 5 yesterday, 6 the day before. Lord, those babies. Renee stopped on the landing, wiping sweat. A man appeared in the hallway like a shadow. Ryan Ferris, 34 widower, hollow-eyed hair a mess, shirt wrinkled. He called out housekeeper Sue Lee, rushed in, clutching a frayed house log. 2 months now, sir, you've barely slept. How could I sleep with my kids crying like this? What kind of father am I? Ryan's hand shook as he dialed. Doctor, it's Ferris. Yes, I already called this morning. The twins are unbearable. There has to be something. No. The voice on the other end muttered something. Ryan's face collapsed. I've paid more than I can even afford. You can't help. He leaned on the wall, gasping. Renee stood there, heart twisting. She'd lost a baby at 16 weeks. She knew. She knew the sound of a child crying when your arms were empty, when a room widened into a pit. Helena flushed red, her tiny fist clutching Ryan's shoulder. Sophia shrieked in the stroller, a needle-sharp sound piercing ears and rattling ribs. Renee bent to pick up a fallen perfume bottle glass shards, glittering like storm fragments. She lifted her eyes, met the baby's gaze, and spoke without thinking. May I hold her a minute? A small sentence in the storm. Ryan nodded, desperate. Helena slid into Renee's arms. That instant the house went silent, as if a switch was flipped. No more hail, just one drop, then stillness. The baby's eyes lingered on her, then closed, breathing steady, asleep. Sophia stopped wailing, staring, her tiny chest rising evenly. Quiet, truly quiet, for the first time in months. No way. Sue covered her mouth. Ryan froze, too exhausted to blink for fear of shattering the miracle. Renee trembled, holding the child close, whispering, "Hush now, little one. It's okay, you're safe." The baby's breath matched her heartbeat. Warm skin, a faint yogurt scent. The room softened. Light exhaled. Silence took shape like a quilt spread over the mansion. Firm footsteps echoed on the landing. Dr. Cassie Drummond entered, spotless white coat hair in a neat bun. Chin lifted. Mr. Ferris, how are the babies? She stopped cold, stared at the impossible sight. 2 infants asleep. Ryan smiling for the first time in weeks, a black janitor cradling Helena like it was the most natural thing in the world. Cassie's smile froze. Her eyes flickered a blade under velvet. Do you even know who she is? Her health. Her exposure. Preemies are fragile. Her voice was ice. You can't let an untrained person hold them. Infection risk, cleaning chemicals, perfume. Each word punctured the tiles. Ryan faltered. The miracle had just unfolded, yet the white coat weighed like judgment. From now on, Renee doesn't touch my children. He exhaled. The words fell like a shard of glass. Renee laid Helena in the crib, the baby still peaceful, and stepped back, her hands clinging to warmth. Sue glanced at Ryan, about to speak, then swallowed it. Cassie opened her medical bag. 2 syringes, a vial labeled infant herbal sedative. A small cooler swinging at her elbow. Best to inject while they sleep, they'll rest deeper, she said, sweet as tea. The vial cap loosened. A hairline crack glittered under the light. Sue frowned, noting in the log, 3:15 p.m. Cassie dropped sedative. 4:15 p.m. Intense crying. Renee backed into the hallway, heart stumbling. From inside, she caught a hiss, Unclear if Cassie whispered to someone or to herself, she nearly ruined everything. Cold draft. The staircase stretched longer than usual. Downstairs, the clock ticked hollow like footsteps across hardwood. Night came. The house surged again. Cries from midnight until dawn. Ryan slumped against the wall, head bowed, hand gripping his forehead. Sue draped a blanket over him. Renee stood at the doorway, afraid to step in, afraid to reach out. Her shadow merged with the crib's frame. Outside, Dallas breathed heavy heat. Inside, 3 adults' hearts waited for a forbidden miracle. Morning light spilled like honey through the blinds. Renee warmed bottles, wiped counters in slow circles. Each upstairs cry cut into her rag. She glanced up just in time to see Cassie pass by, cooler swinging eyes sliding past her as if she were invisible. Sue stood by the stairs, pencil pinched between fingers. 1 hour later, she whispered almost to the logbook. 1 hour later, Aunt Sue Renee murmured before the twins were born. Did the doctor come every day? No, Sue answered, eyes locked on the page. Only when called. Since they came home, she sets the schedule herself. And this house hasn't slept. She flipped back pages, thin lines scratched across. See every visit, 1 hour later, chaos. Renee read the trembling handwriting. Images collided in her head. The crooked vial cap, fine cracks, swinging cooler antiseptic scent laced with yogurt. A scattered collage seeking to fit. Evening. Ryan returned heat from the street, clinging to his shirt. They say, continue the doses. It gets worse before it gets better. Cassie's mantra, worse, then better. Renee bit her lip. Please, just one morning, she blurted before fear stopped her. No medicine. If it's bad, dose them by noon. Ryan looked from the babies to her. His eyes were a dried river. His hands shook. He saw the white coat, then the thin dark shoulders before him. One morning, he whispered, just one. That night, Renee walked back to her rented room at the street's end. The city sweated. Sirens wailed distant. She lay staring at the ceiling fan shadow circling like a strange clock. She pressed her palm to her stomach once warm. Ben, she whispered a name no one knew, watch over these twins for me. Her eyelids sank, but sleep would not come. Somewhere else the mansion stayed awake, and upstairs in the side-by-side cribs 2 tiny chests still fought for steady breaths. Breaths that could heal if only grown hands stopped pressing wrong. If the white coat stopped muffling heartbeats, if one fragile sentence, may I hold her a minute, didn't become a crime. Tuesday morning, 7:00 a.m. Cassie arrived again. The early light coated her white coat with a chill. We must stick to the protocol. No strangers touching the babies, she said casually as if pressing a button to silence all debate. Sue nodded, though her eyes stayed on the house log. Renee lowered her head. Yes. 8:10 a.m., like a fire alarm, the crying erupted. 1 hour later, the dose, same as yesterday. Sue drew a red line writing in large letters, 1 hour later. The whole house plunged into hell. Ryan ran between the 2 cribs, soothing one, then the other, sweat soaking his collar, his mouth dry as desert sand. While cleaning the upstairs bathroom, Renee found an empty Calm bottle in the trash. The clear plastic bore smudges, the cap scratched. If it's calming, why does it get worse? She whispered to Sue when they crossed paths in the kitchen. Maybe their bodies react, Sue said, but her hands trembled. She flipped back through earlier pages. Before the twins were born, did Cassie come every day, Renee asked. No, only when called. Since they came home early, she set her own schedule. Sue said, her voice sinking. And ever since, this house hasn't slept. The babies cry till they're purple. I feel like I'll collapse. Noon. Sun poured through the glass tree shadows modeling the wood floor. Renee leaned by the kitchen window, eyes fixed upstairs. Cassie entered the nursery without knocking. No heart check, no temperature, no reflex test. Just leaned over the crib, shielding the bottle, her hands moving fast. The little cooler swung stubbornly at her elbow, a fixture like her shadow. Each time the same. "Aunt Sue, you see it right?" "I see," Sue answered flatly. She pulled out an old pencil from her apron and marked the margin of the log. Cap crooked. Cooler. No exam. She looked up at Renee. "Something's wrong. But who'll believe us? People trust white coats over an old maid and a black janitor." Afternoon. The crying chopped the air like knives. Ryan slammed his hand on the wall. "I can't take this anymore." He phoned another specialist. "Is it colic reflux?" "It has to be something." The voice coached him to breathe deep, to place the babies on their side, to wait. Wait, while the crying shredded the whole house. He dropped the phone, sliding down the wall. Mr. Ferris Renee spoke so softly it might shatter like crystal. "Give me one morning, no medicine. If it's bad, I'll take the blame." Ryan looked at her. "You're not a doctor, I know, but I have these hands." She raised her palms, calloused from bleach and this heart. Sue nodded. "Let her try, sir. I'll log every minute." Ryan hesitated. His eyes hung like a storm trapped on the eaves. One morning, he said, "Just one. If it fails, I'll double the dose." Night. Renee returned to her rented room. The hallway smelled of damp fluorescent lights flickering. She lay down, hand pressed to her stomach. "Ben," she whispered a name never written anywhere. "Do you hear me? Those babies, they're like you. They cry and the adults don't understand. Watch over them. Watch for me." Wind swept through the window with a faint cool. She closed her eyes, listening to distant highway traffic. The stretched thread of an ambulance siren pulling the sky taut. Wednesday morning. 6:40 a.m. Renee was there, warming water, sterilizing bottles, folding a scorched muslin cloth. Sue taped a large sheet on the fridge this morning. No meds. The key to the medicine cabinet hung high on the hook, gleaming like a vow. Ryan stood in the doorway, hand on the fridge. He nodded. "All right." 8:00 a.m. Helena fed. 8:25 a.m. burped. 9:10 a.m. Sophia rubbed her eyes, slept. 9:45 a.m. Helena slept. 10:20 a.m., both still quiet. The house smiled as if someone had returned the lock to its rightful place. Sue dabbed her eyes, but never let the pencil leave the log. 8:00 fed. 8:25 burped. 9:10 asleep. 9:45 asleep. 10:20 quiet. Each word a normal breath. 11:55 a.m. The door lock clicked. Cassie walked in, professional smile ready. Good, the new formula's working. Cooler in hand, she headed upstairs. No one could stop her. Renee froze on the steps. Half a minute later, she ran up, standing outside the nursery door. Cassie stood over the cribs. No exam, no check. Just covered the bottle, injected a bit. Pulled the needle, twisted the cap, dropped it in the cooler. 15 minutes after she left, Ryan stared stunned as both babies' eyes glazed, blinking erratically, necks stiffening. Then the wailing exploded. "It can't be coincidence," Sue whispered, clutching the log so tight its cover wrinkled. "It can't." The mantra "worse before better" was nothing but a charm to mask something vile. Ryan gripped the banister. "What is she doing to my kids?" His voice cracked like broken glass. PICU Sue urged call PICU now. He dialed St. Joseph's Children's Hospital. "I need a doctor to take samples. Today." As he hung up, the phone rang again. "Dallas Police. We've received a report. One of your staff has been administering unauthorized control medication to your infants. We're on our way. 2 patrol cars, lights flashing. Heavy boots." Sue hugged the log. blocking half the stairs, then stepped aside. Renee clenched her hands, already knowing she was walking into a trap she hadn't set. The door swung open. An officer asked, "Who's the medical staff in charge of these children?" Private Physician Ryan answered, and his eyes landed on Renee Blackskin, cheap t-shirt, worn shoes. "She's the cleaner," Ryan said. "She doesn't touch the babies. I found this sedative bottle in her room," Cassie said smoothly, stepping out, white coat, a shield voice calm. In her hand, a small labeled vial. Then a sheet of paper. "This prescription, signed Dr. Renee Carter." The air froze. Renee's blood iced. "No, that's not my signature. I'm not a doctor." I never cold cuffs snapped on her wrists. "Wait," Sue cried. "We have the log, the times, 1 hour after. You can present it at the station," the officer cut in. "We follow the report from who Sue demanded." No reply. On the steps, Renee turned eyes, clinging to the cribs. "Helena Sophia, don't be afraid." The squad car door slammed. Local news cameras already aimed. The banner scrolled, "Janitor poisoned Millionaire's twins." The first online comments surged, angry faces, stones and text. Across town, Marcia Renee's mother clutched her head. "Renee, what have you done?" A question that stabbed the heart of someone with no answer. Night. Gray walls, metal smell. Renee sat on a thin blue blanket listening to boots scraping floors, keys twisting locks, her own heartbeat pounding against cold stone. "I didn't do it," she whispered, but the walls had no ears. Jail. The first morning. White light struck her skin with a bluish sting. A female officer set down a plastic tray, dry bread, warm water. Renee picked it up, but her throat was a desert. She thought of the faint yogurt scent in Helena's hair, thought of Sophia's eyes just before they closed. She tried to swallow. The bread was stone. From the guard room, the TV blared a talk show dissecting the janitor poisoner. A photo of her in handcuffs, frozen like a verdict. "Not true," she whispered to herself. "Not true." At the mansion, Sue laid the house log on the table, open to the page marked in red. 1 hour later, she called Ryan. "Come, don't watch the TV. Look at this." Ryan came face pale. Sue pointed at each line. "Here. She arrived at 7. She left at 7:30. At 8:30 eruption. Every day the same." Ryan's finger trembled on the page. Maybe Sue cut him off. "I've been here 20 years. I know cries of hunger, wetness, pain. This is the sound of nerves being struck." The words landed heavy. Ryan looked up. "What should I do?" "Toxicology," Sue said. "Blood, urine. And cameras. The hospital has cameras. Here." Her eyes swept the corners of the house as if each held a black eye. Here, none. Ryan called St. Joseph's Children's Hospital, requested Dr. Martins, head of PICU, to take samples, restrict access log every minute. "Who do you suspect?" Dr. Martins asked bluntly. Ryan swallowed. "I don't know anymore." In the hospital corridor, Cassie glanced up at a ceiling camera, its lens glinting like a blade. She sent a message. "It's bad." Then she smiled at a nurse, set down her coffee by the door, and tiptoed away like the cloud. That night, 3:03 a.m. Shift change. The camera caught a white figure slipping into the room. The figure shielded a bottle with one arm, injected something clear. Pulled the needle, twisted the cap, slid it into the cooler. Heels tapped twice, then gone past the frame. No words, no laughter, just a faint antiseptic trace like thread. In the morning, a nurse checked the cap, was slightly askew. A small mark, but the stamp of crime. In her cell, Renee curled tight, eyes wide, because the dark wasn't dark. She heard arguing in the next cell, heard boots scraping floors, keys snickering. She closed her eyes, saw the babies. "Don't cry," she told the image. I'm here." Her hand clutched empty air, recalling the soft weight of Helena against her chest. Tears no longer fell, the night had dried them. She gave silence a name hope. Next morning. An officer called Carter. "You have a visitor." She thought of her mother, stepped out. Not her mother, Sue, hugging the house log like a paper child. "Honey, this old woman believes you." Sue said, voice cracked but steady. "1 hour later, every time, I wrote it down, they'll have to read it." "Auntie." Renee wanted to embrace her, but the chain cuffs held space between them. "Stay strong," Sue said. "Those girls are waiting for you." "My mom," Renee began. "She called me last night," Sue whispered. "She cried. She watched the news. I told her to turn it off, told her to wait for results. I didn't promise." But she listened. At the hospital, Ryan sat on a plastic chair, head in hands. Dr. Martins approached. "We've taken samples. Results by tonight or tomorrow morning. What could it be?" "Many things, but if the pattern you described, 15 minutes agitation, 1 hour explosion, is true, I suspect central nervous stimulants. Amphetamine's possible." The word amphetamine hung in the air like a steel hook. Ryan felt himself hoisted onto it. Afternoon. Ryan's phone buzzed. Dallas PD, a flat voice. "We need you to sign paperwork related to the case." "What case?" "Your employee. Forged prescription, controlled drugs." Ryan stared at the parking lot, the sun heavy as a hot coin. "I'll come." He drove each red light a question. At the station, gray walls, metal desk, an empty pen. "Lawyer," they asked. "I want a lawyer for her," Ryan said hoarsely. "And for my daughters, a lawyer to sue whoever hurt them." When he left, a reporter was waiting. "Mr. Ferris." "Your response to the charges." A camera shoved close. Ryan didn't answer. He looked into the lens as if into a deep well. "I'll speak when the truth comes," he said. "For now, stay away from my family." His voice wasn't loud but firm. The reporter stepped back. He got into his car, back to the hospital, stood at the PICU glass. 2 small balloons struggling to rise. He pressed his forehead to the glass, whispered, "Daddy's here." Night. Dallas smoldered like a slow furnace. Clouds stood still overhead. In the hospital, machines beeped with patient rhythm. In jail, the wall clock ticked hollow like shoes crossing a wooden floor. Elsewhere, in a corridor's shadows, a woman in white stared at the small red eye on the ceiling, a camera light, and in her gaze something cracked open like an eggshell. Morning. Results soon. An envelope about to be torn. A name about to surface, and a twisted love about to be called by its real name, crime. The following Tuesday. The PCU hallway smelled of antiseptic. Dr. Martin stepped out holding the test results. Toxicology's in. He looked straight at Ryan. Amphetamines. The levels show repeated exposure over about 2 months. The air tightened. Ryan staggered. Who could it be? Only someone with regular access and a supply source. Not nurses, not family. The private doctor, yes. The last words cut like a blade. Right then, Cassie appeared, white coat, crisp, face bright. "How are the babies?" "Somewhat better." Dr. Martins replied, his voice going cold. "We need to talk, doctor." Of course, she smiled, though a small vein in her temple twitched. They entered a small conference room. On the table, the open envelope lab results camera stills, 3:03 a.m. A white figure shielding a bottle injecting liquid. "Doctor, did you prescribe a herbal sedative?" "Show me the script," Dr. Martins said. Cassie rummaged in her bag for a long moment. "I left it at my clinic. And last night, 3:03 a.m., the camera caught you entering the room, hiding the bottle from nurses injecting." "What was that, Celine?" "An IV drip. Saline doesn't need hiding," Dr. Martins replied. "And amphetamines don't come in herbal syrup. His words pulled back the curtain. Behind it, a room laid out with crime. Ryan turned the voice hoarse, breaking, "Look at me, Cassie. Tell the truth." She bit her lip, 1 second, 2, then burst. "I did it. Because I love you, Ryan. I just wanted you to need me. If I cured them, you would love by hurting 2 children. Ryan's voice suddenly hardened metallic. "No one loves like that." Cassie's tears spilled too fast to wipe away. I measured the doses. Just enough to make them rely on me. Then I'd adjust. I would cuff her, the investigator said, already waiting at the door. The click of metal bit into the white coat's wrists. Attempted murder. Child endangerment. Poisoning. Evidence tampering. Each charge fell on the tile like nails. On TV, the news cut to the image: white coat, silver cuffs, powdered face. The caption scrolled: "Pediatrician arrested for poisoning twins." In jail, Renee sat upright at the murmurs. Carter, the female officer, called. "Pack up. Me, release order." The door opened. The hallway stretched like a tunnel. At the end stood Ryan. No flowers, no speech, just eyes that had walked through hell. "You're free," he said. "They listened," she confessed. "Amphetamines, camera, everything." Renee didn't smile, didn't sigh. She only shook her head slightly. "You trusted her for months," she said, her voice a needle piercing. "You didn't trust me for even 1 day." I know Ryan answered, not flinching. "I'll make it right. Don't promise. Do it." "I will, in front of everyone." "Before the whole world," he said. "Not the world, just those 2 girls." She replied, her eyes softening a little. Outside the station, Dallas' sun poured like hot honey. On the steps, Renee set her terms: day shifts only. No overnight, no private talks, double pay, security for my mother's block. No reporters, Triple Ryan said. Security this afternoon, and tomorrow night I'll go on TV. Renee nodded. "Then do it." She walked past him, smelling of cheap soap and sunlight. At the car door, she paused. "Ryan," she said, first time, without her thank you for opening the door. "I didn't," he answered. "The truth did." A fleeting smile flickered, then vanished like a ray sliding off skin. The following evening. On local TV, Ryan sat upright, eyes sunken, voice slow deliberate. "Renee, Carter saved my children. I was wrong to doubt her. I publicly apologize. She is innocent." The interview spread across the internet. Some outlets pulled their smear pieces. Some stayed silent. A few rare apologized. Sue, standing in the kitchen, dimmed the lights, and at the word innocent, exhaled softly. On the sofa, Renee held Helena, feeling something strange, like her heart had been set back in its proper place. That night, Renee dozed during her break, startled awake by a siren outside. Ryan walked by, asked nothing. He pulled up a blanket, set a cup of ginger tea on the table. The kitchen light glowed warm. On the fridge, a large sheet read, "No meds in house double seal log access." A home, teaching itself to survive, each line like a lock snapped shut. Next day, Renee stopped by her mother's house. Marcia opened the door, eyes red. "Mom." "I'm sorry," she said first, her voice trembling. "I believed the TV instead of you." Renee looked at the hands that once held her, once checked her fever. "I need time. I'll wait," her mother replied. They hugged, not tight but true. On the table, cornbread cooled. On the wall, the old clock ticked lightly as if in agreement. Weeks passed. Helena slept through a nap without needing arms. Sophia giggled when Sue made silly faces. Renee taught them to clap. Clap, clap. Laughter burst like soap bubbles. Every morning when she opened the door, the scent of talc and sunshine greeted her like an old friend. Every night before leaving, she kissed each tiny forehead. "Sleep well, little one." Ryan stood at the doorframe leaning, saying nothing. His silence a small but real thank you. One night, beneath the trellis lights, Ryan said, "I love you." Renee looked up at the string of bulbs, her gaze drifting across each small glow. "Don't say it unless you're sure." "I'm sure he said, this time, I'll stand between you and every storm." "I'm afraid of happiness," she confessed. "Afraid of losing it." "Then let me hold the umbrella." He smiled. She shook her head, then nodded. Soft as a breeze, nudging open a door. No fireworks, no music, just a promise shaped like a man. Elsewhere, the bluish screen of the jail reflected Cassie's face. The evening news replayed her escort in cuffs, a host pronouncing the word amphetamine without emotion. Cassie closed her eyes. On her lids, 2 faint crescent marks. She whispered something the white walls did not record. And silence. A month passed. Every morning at 7, Renee arrived. The warm scent of soap, the faint whiff of talc. Helena rolled over, scooted forward a little, grinning wide. Sophia cooed her hand, clutching Renee's finger like she was catching sunlight. The house had learned to breathe. Sue checked the seals on the bath bottles, retaped any loose labels, logged every opening time. The medicine cabinet stayed locked, key hanging on the high hook. Everything was clear. By noon, Dallas sunlight spilled through the windows, pooling on the carpet like honey. Afternoon rain came quick and thin as thread the smell of soil rising to meet water. The clink of spoons against bowls. Babbling sounds. Laughter bubbling like soap popping. At night, just breathing. No more storms. One afternoon, the doorbell rang. Marcia stood outside, clutching a cloth bag, eyes red. "Mom?" Renee exhaled, like surfacing from deep water. "I'm sorry," Marcia said, her hands trembling. "I said things I can't take back." Renee looked at those hands, the ones that once cradled her, once struck her when she misbehaved, once checked her forehead in fever. "I need time," Renee said. "I'll wait," her mother replied. They hugged, not tight, but true. Sue peeked from the doorway, smiling, jotting in the log with her old pencil, reconciliation begun. In the kitchen, chicken soup simmered, onions sting, softening eyes, the good kind of sting. Half birthday, 6 months. A small cake shaped like a half moon. Pink and gold balloons floating under the ceiling. Helena flapped her hands wildly, eyes like glass beads. Sophia tilted her head, drooling a smile. Ryan stood back watching like a man witnessing sunrise. Renee laughed for the first time in so long, a laugh with depth. "Good job, girls," she encouraged. "Clap your hands. Clap, clap, Mama," Sophia blurted, clear as day. The room froze. Renee spun around. Tears came instantly unasked. Ryan held his breath. "Did you hear?" he whispered. "Coincidence," she tried to joke, voice shaking. But then Helena joined in. Mama, too. Mama's struck the heartbeat of the house. Sue burst out laughing, scribbling quick the day of Mama. From that day on, Mama became the key that opened every door in the house. When Sophia stumbled, Mama saved her from tears. When Helena was hungry, Mama brought the meal faster. When rain tapped the glass roof, Mama turned the noise into music. Every time Renee heard it, it felt like the first time, her chest warming. She thought of Ben, the child who never arrived. "Do you see this?" she whispered while rinsing bottles, warm water running over her hands. "I've been called. I have a word to return to." Conversations between Renee and Ryan stretched longer, starting with sleep schedules, sliding into stories of rain and old streets, ending over a cup of tea. "Why are you so good with children?" Ryan asked, not to flatter but to understand. "Because I lost one." Renee answered, eyes fixed on the baby monitor. "What was the name?" he asked gently. "Ben," she said the first time aloud. The air touched the name softly like cloth. Ryan nodded, asked nothing more. Just stood a few seconds as if bowing before a headstone. That night, he placed a small teddy bear on the shelf. No words, no tag. Renee passed by, touched its ear. "Hello, little one," she whispered. One evening, beneath the arbor, cicadas sang like threads. String lights glowed gold like fallen stars. "I love you," Ryan said without play, without haste. Renee looked up at the bulbs, letting the light cross her eyes before reaching her heart. "Don't say it if you're not sure," she whispered. "I'm sure," he answered. "This time, I'll stand between you and every storm. No white coat, no seal will bury the truth again. I've learned. I'm afraid of happiness," she confessed. Afraid of losing it, afraid of waking up to find it was only a dream. "Then let me hold the umbrella." He smiled, not a toothy smile, just the corner of his mouth. She shook her head, then nodded, light as a breeze, nudging a door open. They didn't promise the sun would never set, they only promised to stand together when it did. 1 year from that first day in that same garden, a small circle of family and friends gathered. Sue adjusted a flower in her hair, whispering, "Beautiful day." Marcia wiped tears before the minister even finished the opening line. Helena and Sophia toddled puffy dresses, swaying ribbons in their hair like butterfly wings. When the minister asked, "Do you?" both little girls took a breath and shouted together. Mama laughter rained like glitter. Renee laughed. Ryan laughed. The whole sky laughed. Those who once judged her on TV now looked at her like something right had been restored. Elsewhere, in the bluish glow of a jailhouse screen, Cassie's face reflected. The wedding news ticker read, "Ferris family holds small wedding in Highland Park." Cassie closed her eyes, on her lids 2 faint nail marks. She exhaled a breath no one heard. The white wall heard it for her, then silence. Night. Dallas breathed softly. 2 babies slept in peace. No medicine, no needles. Just steady breathing, 2 tiny chests rising and falling like little boats on a lake. Renee pulled up their blankets, kissed each forehead. Ryan stood in the doorway leaning. "Thank you," he murmured. "For what?" "For choosing to stay." She looked at the cribs. A mother isn't only the one who gives birth. A mother is the one who chooses to love. She switched off the light, closed the door. Outside, wind brushed through the oaks. Inside, a family's heartbeats found the same rhythm. Calm, warm, lasting. From the haunting phrase 1 hour later to the affirmation, "A mother is the one who chooses to love," the story closes with justice served, Renee's honor restored, and a family pieced back together by love, not medicine, not lies, just the peaceful breathing of Helena and Sophia. Which moment in Renee and Ryan's journey touched you most? And do you think Cassie deserved a harsher sentence? If this story moved you, hit like, share, and subscribe, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next one.